Japan might be the most beautiful country on earth to visit. Temples folded into the mountains. Trains that arrive to the second. Streets where you can walk alone at 2 in the morning and feel completely safe. But some corners of this country are deeply unsettling, and I went looking for the darkest of them. A trash can in a Tokyo park that held 24 pieces of a human body. An island you cannot legally set foot on without a gas mask. A city built for 120,000 people with fewer than 7,000 left. These are real, and some are still happening right now. Every source is in the description if you want to check it yourself. None of these 13 places needs a ghost. Not one of them is frightening because of what might be haunting it. They are frightening because of what is on the record, what actually happened, and what no one has been able to undo. So many of you watched our first list that you asked for a second, so here it is. If you missed part 1, it is in the top right corner of your screen. Go tap it the moment this is over. We start at 13. Number 13, Inokashira Park. On the morning of April 23, 1994, a worker in a park in western Tokyo opened a trash can and found a bag that should not have been there. Inside were 24 pieces of a human body. Hands, feet, a shoulder, an ankle. Each piece had been cut into sections about the length of your hand, washed and drained of blood, with a care that made investigators believe the killer understood anatomy. The head was never found. The victim was a 35-year-old architect who lived a short walk from the park. The case has a name in Japan, the Inokashira Park dismemberment. It was never solved. The statute of limitations ran out in 2009, which means whoever did this is now legally in the clear and may have walked past that pond 100 times since. Inokashira Park is beautiful. Couples rent little swan boats out on the water, even though local lore says they should not. The shrine on the pond honors Benziten, a goddess of love who is said to grow jealous of happy couples, and the story goes that any pair who rides those boats together will break up before long. The curse is just a thing people say. The trash can was not. If you walk the park after dark, and people do, you are not walking through a ghost story. You are walking through an unsolved one. Number 12. Western Village. In the hills near Nikko, 3 hours north of Tokyo, there is an American town that no American has ever lived in. Western Village opened in the 1970s as a Wild West theme park. A saloon, a sheriff's office, a full replica of Mount Rushmore staring out over the trees. And cowboys, dozens of them, animatronic, built to draw their guns and crack jokes for children. It closed in 2006. Nobody ever died here. No massacre, no fire, no crime, and everything you are about to feel is built on the fact that nothing happened. The cowboys are still inside. 20 years of damp has eaten their faces down to the machinery underneath. Their jaws hang open, stopped mid-sentence, in a saloon with no power. If a decaying robot cowboy town sounds familiar, you are thinking of Westworld. This is the version with no script, no staff, and no way to switch the machines off because some of them still have working motors, and when the wind moves through the broken windows, the ones with motors left have been known to twitch. Locals will tell you to go in daylight if you go at all, and never by yourself. Not because it is dangerous, because of what it does to a person to be stared at by 40 rotting faces that were all built to smile. Number 11. Kejonuma Leisure Land. Kejonuma Leisure Land sat beside a pond in Miyagi Prefecture, and the pond had a story long before the park did. Kejonuma means, roughly, the pond of the ghost woman. As the story is told, a woman who lived by the water gave birth to a child that was not human, something serpentine, that cried every night until she walked into the pond and drowned. No record confirms a word of it. It is the kind of tale a dark pond grows on its own. Here is what is documented. The park opened in 1979 on the front edge of the Baburu Keiki, the bubble economy, when money was so easy that Japan built amusement parks in places that had no business having one. At its peak, 200,000 people a year came here. Then the bubble burst, the visitors stopped, and around the year 2000 the gates closed for good. Remember the bubble. It comes back near the end of this list, and the last time it does not take a park. It takes an entire city. The pond of the ghost woman now has a rusting Ferris wheel reflected in it. Photographers still come for that wheel, and most of them come in pairs because the road in is long and unlit, and the legend is the kind that walks back out with you. Number 10. Hachijo Royal Hotel. 300 kilometers, about 186 miles, south of Tokyo, there is a volcanic island called Hachijojima, and in the 1960s it was sold to the public as the Hawaii of Japan. Before cheap flights could carry ordinary families to a real tropical beach, this was where they came instead. And the Hachijo Royal Hotel was the crown of it, a sprawling resort in heavy French Baroque style, with plaster Greek statues and stone fountains, one of the largest hotels in the country. Then the borders opened, the airfares dropped, and it turned out real Hawaii cost barely more than the imitation. The tourists left. The hotel held on somehow until 2006, and then it simply stopped. Today, the forest has moved inside. Vines have wrapped the statues. Moss fills the fountains. The grand ballroom, built to look like a French palace on a Japanese volcano, is now a greenhouse for whatever blows through the broken windows. The floors are rotting through, and people have been hurt walking it for the photograph. Which is why the rule among the urban explorers who go is simple: not alone and not in the dark. It is one of the most photographed ruins in Japan, and almost no one who photographs it remembers it was once somebody's idea of paradise. Number 9. Nakagusuku Hotel Ruins. Some abandoned buildings earn their reputation slowly. This one was cursed before it was finished. On a hill in Okinawa, right beside the ruins of Nakagusuku Castle, a developer began building a grand hotel in the 1970s. The castle is sacred ground. Local priests warned him the hill held old graves and old spirits, and that to build there was to invite tatari, a word that means a curse, a retribution sent by the dead or the gods when something sacred is disturbed. He built anyway. From here the record and the rumor go separate ways, so I will keep them separate. The record is short. The hotel never opened, not for a single night, and it was demolished around 2020. The rumor, which was never written down anywhere, is that the owner, to prove there was no curse, spent one night alone inside the empty building and walked out the next morning out of his mind and was never seen again. There is no record of his name or of any hospital. For decades, it was the most infamous haunted ruin in Okinawa, the site every Japanese ghost hunting show eventually filmed, the one urban explorers dared each other to enter alone and mostly did not. It is gone now, but the word the priests used before the first wall went up is still attached to that empty hill. Tatari, hold on to it. Number 8. Tojinbo. On the coast of Fukui Prefecture, the cliffs at Tojinbo drop about 80 feet, 25 meters, straight into the Sea of Japan. The rock is rare volcanic columns formed roughly 13 million years ago, and tourists come for it by the busload. But Tojinbo carries a second, darker reputation as a place people travel to when they have decided not to leave. And this is where the story turns, because of one man. A police officer named Yukio Shige spent more than 40 years on the force, and what he kept seeing at these cliffs near the end of his career changed how he spent his retirement. Instead of resting, he began to patrol them every day with binoculars, watching for the person standing too close to the edge, alone, too long. He walks up to them. He talks to them. By the most careful counts, he has pulled more than 500 people back from that edge, one conversation at a time. Because of an old man who refused to look away, more than 500 people are still alive. If you are standing at an edge of your own right now, there are people whose entire purpose is to talk with you. Please let them. Number 7. Miyakejima. There is an island south of Tokyo where the law once required every single person, residents included, to carry a gas mask at all times. Not for war, for the air. Miyakejima sits on top of a volcano called Oyama that does not so much erupt as exhale. In the summer of 2000, it released so much sulfur dioxide that the entire island was evacuated, every resident, for 4.5 years. They were allowed home in 2005 on one condition, that they carry a gas mask everywhere, because the mountain was still breathing poison and the sirens could sound at any moment. Watch what the people here do, because this is the part you cannot fake. They glance up at the hillside the way you check the sky for rain. A generation of children grew up with masks clipped to their school bags, the way you carried a pencil case. The gas has thinned over the years, and most days the masks stay in the bag. But the rule has never been clearly lifted, and on an island where the ground itself can turn the air against you, nobody is in any hurry to throw the mask away. Number 6. Asama sanso. In the winter of 1972, in the mountains near Karuizawa in Nagano, a small group of young revolutionaries who called themselves the United Red Army barricaded themselves inside a holiday lodge named Asama Sanso, holding the caretaker's wife hostage. For 10 days, police surrounded the building in deep snow, while the entire country watched it live on television. When it ended, the woman was rescued alive, but 2 police officers and a bystander were dead. That was the part the nation saw. The part it did not see came afterward, when investigators looked into what this group had been doing in the mountains before the siege. In the weeks before, the members had turned on each other in a spiral of forced confessions they called sokatsu, self-criticism, and one by one they had bound, beaten, and killed 14 of their own people. Comrades, friends, in some cases lovers, for the crime of not being revolutionary enough. 14, killed not by police, not by an enemy, but by the people standing next to them in a cabin in the snow for offenses no court on earth would recognize. The lodge is gone. What happened inside it became one of the most studied cases in Japan of how a closed group talks itself into believing murder is a form of hygiene. The director Koji Wakamatsu, who had come up through the same radical world these people did, spent the rest of his life trying to understand it, and in 2007 turned the whole descent into a 3-hour film called United Red Army. It does not look away from a single hour of it. Number 5. Mount Ontake. September 27th, 2014. A clear, warm Saturday just before noon, and Mount Ontake, a popular hiking volcano in central Honshu, was crowded with day hikers stopped near the summit to eat and take photographs. There had been a few small tremors in the days before. No warning was raised. At 11:52 in the morning, with maybe 10 minutes of seismic signal beforehand, the mountain detonated in a steam-driven blast, throwing rock and ash with no lava to announce it, and no time for the people on the slope to move. 63 people died, and some were never recovered from beneath the ash. It is the deadliest volcanic disaster in Japan since the Second World War. Hold one idea here because it comes back at number 1. These people were not reckless. They were simply not warned, because the people whose job it is to warn them did not know in time. The danger was real, it was invisible, and it was already underneath them while they ate their lunch. Remember that. It is the thread that runs to the worst place on this list. Number 4. Mount Unzen. 3 years before Ontake, on the 3rd of June 1991, another Japanese mountain was being watched far more closely. Mount Unzen, in the south, had woken up, and a new dome of lava was rising at its peak. This time people knew. Scientists had come from around the world to study it. Among them were a French couple, Katia and Maurice Kraft, the most famous volcano photographers alive, and an American scientist named Harry Glicken. They gathered at a point they had judged to be safe, along with journalists, the taxi drivers who had driven everyone up, and firefighters keeping watch. They were wrong about safe. A pyroclastic flow, a fast avalanche of superheated gas and rock, came down the valley faster than anything could outrun and reached exactly where they stood. 43 people died there, the Crafts and Glicken among them, 3 of the most knowledgeable people on the planet about this precise kind of death. If you have seen the documentary Fire of Love, you already know Katia and Maurice Kraft. The whole film is built from the footage they shot themselves, chasing eruptions across the world for 20 years, and it ends in this valley, on this day. At Ontake, the danger came with no warning. At Unzen, the warning was everywhere. The experts were watching, and it killed them anyway. Down in the valley, the houses the flows buried have been left exactly as they were found, half swallowed in hardened mud, preserved on purpose so that nobody later gets to decide it did not happen. Number 3. Kamikuishiki. Near the foot of Mount Fuji, there used to be a village called Kamikuishiki, and inside it a cluster of plain industrial buildings the people who built them called satian. From the outside, they looked like warehouses. Inside one of them, numbered Satian 7, a doomsday cult called Shinrikyo was manufacturing sarin, a nerve agent invented for the battlefield. On the morning of March 20th, 1995, 5 of its members boarded the Tokyo subway at rush hour and punctured bags of that sarin with the sharpened tips of umbrellas. 13 people died that day. A 14th died years later from her injuries. More than 6,000 were hurt. It is the worst act of terrorism in modern Japanese history, and it was assembled in those quiet buildings beneath the most famous mountain in the country. The novelist Haruki Murakami spent a year interviewing the survivors for a book called Underground because he felt his country was trying to forget it too quickly. Here's the part that belongs on this list. The cult is gone, its leaders executed, the Satian buildings torn down. And the village of Kamikuishiki itself was dissolved in 2006, wiped off the map, its name removed and folded into its neighbors, as if the country were trying to forget the address had ever existed. There is a park near the site now. People have picnics on the ground where the gas was made. Number 2, Yubari, 116,908. That was the population of Yubari, a coal city in the mountains of Hokkaido, in 1960. Today it is under 7,000. Yubari did everything the country ever asked of it. It dug the coal that powered Japan, and when Japan switched from coal to oil and the mines began to close, it did not give up. It bet on tourism instead. It built a coal museum, theme parks, a film festival, and it borrowed and borrowed again against that same bubble economy we have been tracking through this entire list. Then the bubble burst and the visitors it had built everything for never came. In 2006, Yubari became the first city in Japan to officially go bankrupt, buried under a debt of around 35 billion yen, roughly $300 million. This is the same wave that drowned the Ghost Woman Park and the Island Paradise Hotel, except here it did not take a building. It took a city. And here's the detail that is almost too perfect. For years, Yubari hosted a famous international film festival devoted to horror and fantasy. When the money ran out in 2006, the horror festival was one of the first things the city could no longer afford. The town that threw a yearly party for scary movies had quietly become one. And long before any of that, in 1981, a gas explosion in one of those Yubari mines killed 93 men underground in a single night. The coal closed the mine. The mine emptied the town. The town is still standing. Most of the people are not. Number 1, the Fukushima exclusion zone. On March 11, 2011, the largest earthquake in Japan's recorded history pushed a wall of water onto the northeast coast, and that wave overwhelmed the seawall at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, and 3 of its reactors melted down. In the days that followed, the towns around it, Futaba, Namie, Tomioka, were ordered to leave. Tens of thousands walked out of their homes expecting to be back within days. Some never came back at all. For years, these towns sat behind locked gates, sealed inside what the government calls the difficult-to-return zone, while crews in white suits scraped the soil into black bags and stacked them in the fields by the million. Futaba, the closest town, did not allow a single resident to move home until 2022, 11 years later. Of the roughly 7,000 people who once lived there, a few hundred at most have returned. Now think back to what I told you to hold. Ontake gave no warning. Unzen gave every warning and killed the experts who listened. Fukushima is the third kind and the worst because the warning had been written down for years. Engineers had said the seawall was too low. The report sat in a drawer until the sea made the decision for everyone. You can take a guided tour through parts of it now. You will not be allowed to wander, and you will not be allowed to stay. The towns behind those gates are not haunted. That is the hard part. Nothing is in there. The lights do not turn themselves on. There is only the wind, the fields of black bags, and a sign on the road that tells you why you cannot go home. Remember the word the priests used in Okinawa? Tatari, a reckoning for disturbing something you were warned to leave alone. They meant the dead, but take the ghosts out of it, and the word still fits every place you just saw. Nobody here was cursed. They were warned. A seawall someone was told to build higher. An island whose air someone was told not to trust. A debt someone was told not to sign. The warning was always there, on paper, in a drawer, and the reckoning came anyway. So when you stand at the gate of one of these places and feel something climb your spine, ask what is actually scaring you. The dead who never said a word, or the living who read the report and signed it and drove home. One of those you leave behind when the bus pulls away. The other one climbs into the car with you. So ask yourself on the drive back, which one were you ever really afraid of? If you made it all the way to the bottom of this list, you clearly do not scare easily. So do one small thing for me. Subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it tells us to keep digging these up. Part 1 is still sitting in the corner of your screen if you skipped it. And tell me in the comments, of these 13, which one would you actually set foot in after dark? And which one could you not be paid enough to enter? There is a lot more of this country we have not shown you yet.
The ones the mountains simply decided to keep. Maybe that is the real reason locals refuse these roads after sundown. Not because they are sure that ghosts are real, but because they remember the people, every one of them, and they would honestly rather not meet them on a dark and narrow road. If you made it all the way to the end, do me a favor and tap the like button. It takes about 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps more people find these stories. And tell me down in the comments, which of these 15 you would actually be brave enough to drive through at midnight, and which haunted tunnel near you I left off the list. There is far more of this hidden Japan where that came from, and we are only just getting started.